thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, for welcoming us. This is a follow-up, as you said, to a meeting we had not too long ago in Florida, in my home state, with the President of the United States. And in the aftermath of that meeting, we discussed some things during that meeting regarding a specific purchase of airplanes. There were some impediments to it. We were able to resolve those, and we're happy that that got resolved, because it's an example of how this direct engagement could lead to more things we can achieve together. In fact, that meeting happened the day after a deal was signed with Westinghouse and with our Secretary of Energy, Chris Wright, to lay the groundwork for this energy opportunity, which is so incredible. I use these things only to illustrate the importance of this direct engagement. We both have excellent teams and people that work very hard and communicate all the time, but there is no replacement for that direct level of engagement. And engagement in Central Europe is what you can expect to see more of from the United States of America. Mr. Prime Minister, you mentioned the Visegrad Group, the V4. It is something we are eager to engage with as a forum in which we can find areas where we can work together and achieve cooperation. You mentioned something else, which I don't know why it ever became controversial, but it's important to remind everybody of. It is the view of the President of the United States, President Trump, and of the United States under his presidency, that we expect every country in the world, to act in their national interest. That is what countries are supposed to do. That is what the leaders of their countries are. I don't know why that is like a strange consideration. The fact of the matter is we view policy the exact same way. Now, when our national interests are aligned, when the national interests of the United States, for example, and the national interests of Slovakia are aligned, this is an extraordinary opportunity for cooperation and for partnership. Where there might be some misalignment, well, that's where the relationship comes in. That's where the partnership comes in. That's where we try to accommodate one another and find a way forward. There's nothing controversial about that, at least not as long as President Trump is in the White House. And we believe that within the area of common alignment, there are so many things we can work on together that are good for your country, good for our country, but frankly, good for Europe and good for the world. I also appreciate your input with regards to the war in Ukraine. It is important that we take as many viewpoints. Your viewpoint, and the viewpoint that you've expressed both to me and publicly as well, is one that's informed by both your geography and by your history. And it's a very important point of view to take into account in the broader context. As I said yesterday, in response to some questions in Munich, we view the United States' role as one of trying to facilitate an end to a very deadly, very bloody, very costly war with horrible suffering. What's happening in Kyiv right now is horrifying. You know, people in the coldest part of the year, not going without electricity and energy. This is nothing positive about that. The death, regardless of what the numbers are on both sides, way too high. And the president has spent a year at the highest levels of our government trying to find whether we can be facilitators of a negotiated end to this terrible conflict. And it is something that we care about, but it is something you live next door to. You're on the border. You're right there. You face, and not only do you have to face the consequences of the war, but you also have to face the benefits or the consequences of the peace. And so we appreciate your input in that regard. We talked about a lot of things we have an opportunity to work together on. Energy is one of them. I think you have an opportunity as a nation, not just because you can generate energy, to also be in a very advantageous role when it comes to new technologies like artificial intelligence, as an example. It's an opportunity there. There's a very energy-dependent industry, and so it's something we can work together on. We're always talking about military sales, and this is important. We're very happy that the F-16 program is your program of choice. We hope you'll consider some others as well that we can work together on, because apart from one of the key components of any country's national interest is the ability to protect their people. There is no more important obligation of any government than the ability to protect your own people and your own nation. This is why, by the way, we talk about the importance of our partners having capabilities in NATO. Every time we say this, people, they go crazy. They think, oh, that means you're going to abandon NATO, you're going to abandon your allies. I think the point we're making is that the stronger our allies are, the stronger we are collectively. The stronger we are collectively. And so we want to play a positive role in that regard, and you're doing many good things in that space, and we want to thank you and want to continue to work with you on that. So there are many things that we have an opportunity to work together on. But first, thank you for receiving me here on a Sunday. And I try never to burden people on Sundays. It's an important day for me because of my faith, and I know for many of you as well. But I thank you for opening the space to us on this day, because we wanted to show, and we are showing, and we are going to show in the weeks and months and years to come, that under President Trump, this administration is going to make not just Slovakia, but Central Europe, a key component of how we engage the continent and the world. And that we are not just going to engage in meetings and pleasantries, but in concrete actions that we will take together in ways that are beneficial to your people and our people, in ways that are beneficial to your country and our country. I'm very excited about this opportunity. I know the president is as well. That's why I'm here. When did we meet? It wasn't too long ago. It was just a few weeks ago.
Yes, a few weeks.
A few weeks, and here we are. So, and we'll be back, and we'll be sending others back. And I think some members of your team are going to be coming to Washington this week to have a conversation. So you're going to get used to seeing us, and you're going to get used to dealing with us, because we're very happy to be here, and we look forward to working with you very closely.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Do you want me to go first? Okay. On NATO, yeah, I don't understand. The United States has thousands and thousands of troops deployed to the NATO mission. And we've made very clear, I think it was made very clear at the summit just a few days ago at the meeting of the defense minister level, we're not leaving NATO. We're not leaving. I mean, we may move a couple thousand troops from one country to another, but this has always been the case. This has always happened. By the way, we are not threatened or feel it as hostile to see NATO grow in its own capabilities, not independent of the United States, in conjunction with the United States. We don't think it's a negative thing that other countries have more influence in NATO, other partner nations have more influence in NATO, or that other countries within NATO have more capability.
NATO's more
we view that as a
European
positive.
centric,
I see it
right?
reported yesterday in some places. Oh, the Europeans
more
are
for
very
that
upset.
region versus
They're going to be less
not for the
dependent on
United States.
America now.
We're nowhere
we don't want Europe
close.
to be
Right?
dependent on. We're not asking Europe to be a vassal of the United States. We want to be your partner. We want to work with Europe. We want to work with our allies. We want to work in cooperation with you. And our point has been and continues to be, the stronger you are, both on an individual basis in terms of countries and collectively as an alliance, the stronger the members of NATO are, the stronger NATO is. That's not minus the United States. That's just common sense. Okay? If you have an alliance made up of countries, the stronger all those members are, the stronger the alliance is. And we want the alliance to be so strong that no one will ever dare test it. No one will ever dare challenge it. So we welcome any measures that are taken to strengthen the alliance by the individual members. And we see that as a very positive thing.
Thanks very much. Mr. Secretary, will the Trump administration consult and inform Congress in advance if it decides to attack Iran or remove the supreme leader? It's a question on the minds of many, given the major potential consequences of a new war in the Middle East. And also, 5 European countries issued a joint statement saying Alexei Navalny was most likely poisoned.
I don't know why people are trying to defend Khamenei.
South American frog.
Like, Khamenei is such a
How come the United States
prick?
didn't join the statement? Any response?
I mean,
to
you're
it?
better off trying to
And then
figure out
Mr.
who's the
Prime
better
Minister,
choice than Khamenei.
Sorry to interrupt. Thank you for your hospitality.
shit, Khamenei's just trying
On
to get
Venezuela,
fucking people killed at this
you
point.
strongly opposed America's removal of Maduro by force, saying it demonstrates a deepening
Well,
breakdown of the international order.
there
Do you
was a
still feel that way?
there was a court
given
order
where
for
we're at
him
now?
anyway, so that
and,
doesn't
And
matter.
also, you've denied saying that you were worried about President Trump's psychological state following your meeting with him in Mar-a-Lago. Can you explain how this was potentially misinterpreted?
Let me go first on your question. I'm not going to talk about attacks on Iran or anything of that nature, because the president's made clear he prefers diplomacy and an outcome of negotiated settlement. Now, we're dealing with radical Shia clerics. Okay, we're dealing with people who make geopolitical decisions on the basis of pure theology, and it's a complicated thing. I mean, no one's ever been able to do a successful deal with Iran, but we're going to try. Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner will be traveling. I think they're traveling right now.
They're willing to just say whatever their religious mantra is and
comply with the applicable laws of the United States in terms of involving Congress in any decisions. But right now, we're not talking about any of that. We are postured in the region for one simple reason, and that is that we understand that there could be threats to our forces in the region. We've seen them be threatened in the past, and we want to make sure that we have sufficient capacity to defend them if, God forbid, that were to happen. we'll follow whatever the law is on it. And it depends on the circumstance that lead to it. But right now we're talking about negotiations. We are focused on negotiations. That's what we're for. The president's made that clear. If that changes, it'll be obvious to everyone. And obviously whatever the law requires us to do, we'll do. With regards to your question about the frog toxin, no, it's a very serious thing. Look, those countries came to that conclusion. They coordinated that. We chose, doesn't mean we disagree with the outcome. It wasn't, our endeavor. Sometimes countries go out and do their thing based on the intelligence they've gathered. We obviously are aware of the report. It's a troubling report. We're aware of that case of Mr. Navalny, and certainly it's, we don't have any reason to question it, or we're not disputing or getting into a fight with these countries over it, but it was their report and they put that out there. And let me just make one more point, because I think you asked him a question in order to see if you can get him against us with something about, you criticize. A lot of countries didn't like what we did in Venezuela. That's okay. That was in our national interest. I'm sure there's something he'll do one day that we don't like, and we'll say, hey, we didn't like you did this. So what? That doesn't mean we're not going to be friends, we're not going to be partners, we're not going to be able to cooperate with one another. Countries express their opinion all the time. We have very close allies that didn't like what we did in that regard. I can tell you what, it was successful. We're proud of it. It was necessary, because the guy was a narco-terrorist, and we made him a bunch of offers, and he chose to tore them out. And look what's happened in Venezuela in the 6 weeks since he's been gone. Okay, now it's got a long way to go. There's still much work that needs to be done, but I can tell you Venezuela is much better off today than it was 6 weeks ago. So, we're very proud of that project. And, I know some will disagree and didn't like, but irrespective, I think everyone can now agree that Venezuela has an opportunity at a new future that wasn't there 6 weeks ago.
Mr. Secretary, yesterday in Munich you said, and you repeated it basically today here, that...
Can you hold the mic up just a little bit there?
Yeah, I'm sorry. You said yesterday in Munich and as well as today that it's very important for every alliance to have all of the members very strong, and you support it. At the same time, before your visit of Bratislava and Budapest, you said that this is kind of strengthening the ties with so-called cooperative allies. Who are the non-cooperative allies? From your point of view, and isn't this kind of creation of two-tier EU or the policy of carrot and stick?
I think I followed your question. Let me just briefly say, I don't know about look, I'm not going to use this press conference to attack this member of NATO or that member of NATO in terms of what they're doing and not doing with regards to the alliance. I was giving a speech about our relationship, the transatlantic alliances, they call it, which on the military front is largely built on NATO, and on the commercial and economic front is built through the European Union, and obviously to non-members of the European Union then through bilateral agreements.
I like how everyone views America as the big bad boogeyman, when you literally have Russia and China closer to you. Like, what?
It is not just a commercial alliance or a trade alliance. If it was just built on commerce and military, then this is very transactional. And it's only going to be an alliance as long as it's mutually beneficial in that regard.
You literally have Russia at your fucking doorstep trying to go into Ukraine. Like, what?
Is built on something even more important and more enduring, and that is the ties we have as people, cultural ties, historical ties, religious ties,
I don't get this journalist
in many cases, our language, etc., shared experience. And
fucking ask a better one.
And as far as if you want to talk about NATO specific, I mean, I don't think this is a mystery. This has been something the president's talked about since his first administration as 45th president of the United States, and that is that he wants NATO to be stronger. And in order for NATO to be stronger, the member states have to be stronger. But that's the point. I think we're headed in a good path in that regard. I think we've seen a tremendous amount of progress, and we'll continue to see progress in that direction.
You guys are neutered. You need to beef up your security and defenses.
To be
you guys
stronger.
Suck.
It's not a threat to say, well, if you're not stronger, then we're gonna, it's to point out to everybody.
But it's true. You guys need to beef up your security and defenses.
Stronger when we
you literally have Russia knocking on your fucking front doorstep.
And every nation has a unique situation.
Every
nation
Ukraine.
that's a member of the coalition of NATO has, in some cases, some strategic advantages, special things that they can bring to the table that perhaps another member state cannot. That has to be taken into account as well.
Thank you. Secretary,
I just did an interview with you guys. This guy gets all these. How's this? All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Thank you for more of your time, Secretary Rubio.
No, thank you. That's why I'm here.
Wanted to ask you, you met in the last several days with the leaders of Greenland and Denmark in Munich. Is there agreement or acceptance from the U.S. side that the issue of ceding sovereignty of Greenland to the U.S. is no longer on the table, or that Greenland will not ultimately become part of the U.S.? And on Syria, you also met with the foreign minister in Munich. Several Republican congressional leaders have talked about serious concerns over al-Shara's ability to fulfill the conditions that you had laid out in May of 2025, and saying he's moving backwards on some of those regarding treatment of minorities, the role of foreign fighters. Do you share that assessment? And was that something you conveyed to the foreign minister?
It's like 4 questions. How did I get 4 questions?
Just in terms of
You guys did a pool or something?
reduction, the energy reliance dependence of
so many
Slovakia on
questions.
Russia, is that something that you're willing, that Slovakia is willing to reduce or end the oil and gas imports, or to increase imports of fuels like LNG from the U.S.? Thank you both so much.
All right. I don't even remember your first question. I think it was about Greenland and Denmark, right? Okay. Yeah, we met with them. We're meeting with them. I'm not going to talk about it. I told you guys we're not going to have this thing and back and forth in media and press conferences. We have a good process in place. We're engaging with them. I feel very positive and optimistic that we're on a good trajectory. In the case of Syria, actually, let me point something out. Number one, we met with the foreign minister of Syria. You know who else was there? General Muslim. They came together. The Kurdish leader was there. We put that out. I don't know why that wasn't reported. Interestingly, by the way, I read, and I knew this was going to happen. I told my people to tell you this because I knew this was going to happen. The minute we couldn't go to a Ukraine meeting that they were having, one of the multiple Ukraine meetings that we attend. We couldn't go to one of them. And the reason why we couldn't go to that one with 4 other European countries is because we were meeting with Syria and the Kurds. I couldn't figure out a way how to be in 2 places at the same time. It's a problem many people face. You can't be in 2 places at the same time. So we met with the Syrian foreign minister and with the General Muslim on behalf of the Kurds, a historic meeting, okay, together in the same meeting. Now, let me say that no one here has ever disputed that the challenge of Syria was going to be a very significant one. A very significant one. Okay, we are dealing with elements that, as we've said in the past,
in Syria,
and
they
concerns
started
about things that they have
giving
done in
intelligence
the past.
to the
But
U.S.
the bottom line was we had 2 choices in Syria. Choice number 1 was to let the place fall apart into 18 different pieces, long-term civil war, instability, mass migration, playground for terrorists, ISIS running all over the place, Iran getting back in. That was choice number 1. Choice number 2 is to try to see if it was possible
there's still a conflict
with these
in
interim
Syria.
authorities and with al-Shara and with his team. Guess what? We chose number 2.
Literally,
because it made sense. Now, is
the
it going
Middle
to be
East
easy?
region
No.
is
Is it going to be difficult? Absolutely. Is it going to have ups and downs and good days and bad days?
You got a bunch of
Here's the
factions,
fact.
and you got a bunch of
theocratic,
theocratic
but here's the
crazies
fact. The
trying
fact
to
is
fuck up each
that
reach.
when this situation erupted in the northeast of Syria, we went. The president engaged personally, not once but twice, with al-Shara, and he said, "Stop the fighting, so that we can move the ISIS prisoners that are there." Thousands of ISIS prisoners who, by the way, could have broken out and created havoc and chaos. Stop the fighting so that we can move these ISIS prisoners, and so that we have more time to work on this reintegration, the integration of the Kurds into the national Syrian forces. And you know what? Al-Shara did it. Now, he's kept his word up to this point. Obviously, he has to keep doing that. But that's what we've been able to achieve. We've been able to at least get him to agree to do that. And that's been important because we've been able to move those prisoners into Iraq and out of harm's way so that we don't have a massive jailbreak and 4,000 or 5,000 ISIS killers running crazy all over the place and threatening us in the future. And it's given us time to work on this integration agreement, which they have agreed to between the Kurds and the Syrian authorities in Damascus. Now, you have to implement that agreement. That's not going to be easy. And there are other such agreements that they need to reach with the Druze, with the Bedouins, with the Alawis, with all the elements of a very diverse society in Syria. But we think the alternative, we think that outcome, as difficult as it's been, is far better than a Syria that would have been broken up into 8 pieces with all kinds of fighting going on, all kinds of mass migration. So we were very positive about that. And as far as members of Congress are concerned, we've worked with them on this. We've kept them informed. We've invited them to many of the meetings. In fact, Ambassador Barrack was in Washington last week briefing the congressional committees, always very blunt and very honest about the challenges involved in executing on this very difficult situation. But we think it's headed in a positive direction, even though it's been tested. There's been some difficult days. Frankly, there's been some days that have been, very concerning. But we like the trajectory. We have to keep it on that trajectory. We've got good agreements in place. The key now is implementation, and we'll be very involved in that regard. Those were my 2 questions, right? Okay.
Thank you very much. This was the last question. Thank you. Bye-bye.
There you go. Big Boogeyman USA.
Betrayed. He has betrayed.
All right, let's see what Hillary Clinton
He's
has
betrayed
to say.
human values. He's
Let's see
betrayed
what this dumb
the
bitch
NATO
has
Charter,
to say.
the Atlantic Charter, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. A lot of what has been done before to try to make sense
she's talking about
of how
human
difficult
rights.
it is
Please.
to restrain
You're the
people
least
who want
person I
unaccountable
wanna hear from
power. And none of us in this
about
room,
human rights.
including all of us on this panel, would choose to live under a regime that was so unaccountable that it could act with impunity the way that Putin does, except that's who Trump is modeling himself after.
You're not even... Bitch, you have no place to say. Honestly, Putin would steamroll your ass. If you were president, Putin would not listen to you. Shit, he might even just fucking whack you himself. I think you really don't like him. No, she doesn't. I mean, given the fact that Trump once said, "I'll put you in a cage," yeah, I mean... Yeah, she probably didn't like that one.
First, I think you really don't like him.
That is absolutely true. But I really, not only do I not like him, I don't like him because of what he's doing to the United States and the world. And I think you should take a hard look at it if you think that there is something good that will come out of it.
What I think Trump is doing in America, I think it is reaction for something for some policies that really went too far from the regular people to from reality. So we saw the cancel culture.
Hey, let's go. He knows about cancel culture. Hey. And it was during Hillary Clinton's time that killed, right? When she was running up too, during Obama and everything.
I think there are 2 genders. So, but some of us think that there is more than 1 or more than 2 gender. I think there is male and female, and the rest probably is a social construct.
Damn. Oh, fucking got her. Fucking got her. And he's totally right. Right. There's only male and female, and then the rest is the social construct. Fucking cold-blooded. Fucking cold-blooded, man. Oh, that was so good.
But back to AOC. The Brooklyn Congresswoman has showed up, oddly enough, at, of all places, the Munich Security Conference and made a pitch for, well, what's the old saying? To burnish her foreign policy credentials. Well, how did she go? You be the judge.
I think what we identify is that in a rules-based order, hypocrisy is vulnerability.
Yeah,
So
you
I
should
think
ask
what
her
we're
about
seeking is a return to a
the
rules-based
Ukraine one
order
again.
that eliminates the hypocrisies around when too often in the West we'd look the other way for inconvenient populations to act out these paradoxes.
Oh, really?
That word salad there, that was a lot more Kamala Harris than Henry Kissinger. But she wasn't done. She was also asked what the U.S. should do if China decides to jump Taiwan.
that one too. Yeah,
Big,
the
easy
Taiwan
question.
thing.
Should America commit troops to this fight for freedom?
Would and should the U.S. actually commit U.S. troops to
This
defend
one's a
Taiwan?
funny one too.
If China were to.
You know,
I
think that, this is I think that this is a
Oh, that's so good.
this is of course a very long-standing policy of the United States.
What happened?
and
What
I
happened to
think
your
what we are
other
hoping
your
for is
other
that we want to
Democrat
make sure we never
fellows
get
that
to
said
that point.
a different version?
Was anybody else out there remembering that great time Kamala Harris did the whole routine about how Russia is a big country and Ukraine is a small country? Well, that's it right there. I mean, if that was any more of a word salad, it would need croutons. Though, to be serious, it is quite something that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and indeed the entire left can accuse Trump of not standing up to dictators and then turn
all
around
Trump's
and
fault,
stumble over
right?
the question of whether the U.S.
all
should
Orange
defend
Man's
a
fault.
democracy against the greatest authoritarian power on earth. Seems pretty simple to me. AOC, well, she also talked up the idea of a billionaire's tax, but as we all know from history, these sorts of things tend to very quickly become taxes on millionaires and then on the savings of everyone who doesn't want to be dependent on the government.
So when you run for president,
Oh, that's a funny one. I wonder who's going to vote for her.
or a billionaire's tax?
I don't
Oh
think
wait,
that,
no, never mind. I already know who it is.
I don't think that anyone,
Ugh,
and that
yeah.
we don't have to wait for any one president.
There's going to even be
to
people
impose a wealth tax.
betting
I
on
think that
these
it needs
people
to be done
too to win.
expeditiously.
And note that she did
that's-
not bat
I'm
away
gonna
that question
fucking
about
laugh,
whether or
too,
not she'd
to
be
see their
running for
money
president.
go to
And all this
fucking
matters
drain.
because in a not terribly crowded field, AOC is indeed on many insiders' shortlists for a presidential or vice presidential bid. Now, here's the good news in all this, and this is where the truth bomb comes in. Her faction, this hard left faction, well, they may be ruining places like New York City under socialist mayor Zoran Mandani, but normal Americans are looking at what they have on offer and increasingly saying, no thanks.
If the ideology of the Democratic Party is shifting or changing, how are people feeling about it?
Okay, so we're talking about the Democratic base, right? But what about all Americans, right? How about all voters? Voters who say the Democrats are now too liberal. Look at this percentage. It was 42% in 96, 48% in 2013, now 58% in 2025 of all voters say that the Democratic Party is too liberal.
So the left is talking to themselves, not to the general public. How good, right? And that is going to explode in the Democrats' faces if they keep going down this road in 2028.
I mean, it was clear as day when they were fighting against the Save Act, right? Jesus Christ.
For President Bumper
It was
sticker
clear
for
as day
Mustang.
that
I won't have that little auto stop
you
thing
have
to deal with, will I?
you have some problem people. That's for sure. Oh, the kid over gender issue, right? Wait, we should watch
Thank
this.
you for that. And you got.
You really mean that?
Yes, I do. I do, and you got several rounds of applause there. But I'm really interested in the line that our discussion is having already, which is a battle within the West between conservatism and liberalism. But I don't think we would be having this discussion at all if it weren't for some of the positions the US administration has taken. And let me take one of them, which is Ukraine, which is obviously at the center of the Munich discussions of the past couple of years. And the line that the Trump administration has taken in trying to resolve the conflict following Russia's invasion of Ukraine and its apparent thrust to accept Russia's territorial encroachment on Ukraine. And to you, I absolutely, I understand, and we've had various versions of it already, your characterization of a clash between conservative and liberal values being, at the heart of what's going on in the West. But in this particular one, a security issue, one that involves international law, whether countries still respect those international laws laid down after the Second World War, do you think that that brings a new rift within the West? Ukraine, the US's position. Yes, I am.
I think that the Trump administration's position toward Ukraine is disgraceful. I think the effort to force Ukraine into a surrender deal with Putin is shameful.
What would she have? Oh, what would she do? Keep fighting with Putin? Oh, she's out of her mind and she thinks she wants to keep a war going on.
I think the effort that Putin and Trump are making to profit off the misery and death of the Ukrainian people is a historic error and corrupt to
wouldn't
the
you say
nth
other
degree.
people are
So I
profiting
believe
as well?
Ukraine is fighting for
Not
our
just- what?
democracy
Yeah.
and our values of freedom and civilization on the front lines, losing
See, she's got
thousands
it's
of
like
people
Trump. She's
and having their country
Trump on her mind all the
destroyed
time.
by one man's mania to control them. And I think Trump either doesn't understand or could care less about that suffering. So that's what I think.
And so do you think he has destroyed the West, to go to our title?
He has betrayed the West. He's betrayed human values. He's betrayed the NATO Charter, the Atlantic Charter, the Universal Declaration of Human
I don't
Rights.
think he's done
A lot of what has been done before to try to make sense of how difficult it is to restrain people who want unaccountable power. And none of us in this room, including all of us on this panel, would choose to live under a regime that was so unaccountable that it could act with impunity.
So
the
you
way that
want
Putin
she
does.
does, so she basically is saying we should have went
is
to
modeling
war
himself.
with
I don't think we
Putin.
would be having
Is what she's
this
saying.
debate under that kind of regime, for sure. We will come back, I suspect, to the conservatism and liberalism clash within the West, but thank you for that. Peter, do you agree that the Trump administration's actions on Ukraine have produced a rift in the West?
Well, first, I think you really don't like him.
That is absolutely true. But I really, not only do I not like him,
we're watching
I don't
this
like
again
him because of what he's doing to the United States and the world. And I think you should take a hard look at it if you think that there is something good that will come out of it.
Peter,
what I think Trump is doing in America, I think it is reaction for something for some policies that really went too far from the regular people,
Like what?
too
Give us some
far from
examples.
reality. So we saw the cancel culture. We saw the woke revolution.
The woke revolution,
agree
the
with the
cancel
gender
culture.
revolution, the climate alarmism.
Which gender?
Yeah,
Women?
the climate
No, let
militarism,
There are two
nice.
genders,
Hey.
so but some of
half of us? Can we have our rights?
some of us think that there is more than one or more than two gender. I think there is male and female, and the rest probably is a social construct. So this is
There it
something
is.
that went too far.
But does that justify selling out the people of Ukraine who are on the front lines dying to
Okay.
save their
You
freedom
guys
and their
sold
two
them out.
genders?
Like,
If
what
that's
the fuck
you're
are you
worried
talking
Can I
about?
please finish my point?
This happened during
sorry
your
that,
time, you dumb bimbo.
It makes you nervous. I'm really
Yeah.
sorry for that.
This happened during the bite. Well, so they went into
Can we let Peter finish, please?
they went
I have
into
to,
whatchamacallit,
I have to say,
in
one
like
thing. You said
20
that,
during
Ukraine fights for
presidents-
our future and for our
during
freedom.
Trump's presidency,
I think
and then
first,
they escalated
Ukraine
it
fights
during
for
Biden.
Ukraine's future, Ukraine's freedom.
Crimea.
Ukraine's,
That's what.
sovereignty and independence.
Right, they got
So
Crimea in
we
like
should help them, of course,
2016,
but,
2017,
what
something
I
like
see
that.
in some
Because
people in the West,
Ukraine gave it
they
up.
are trying to misuse help
And then-
Ukraine. But that's
and then
another
during
question.
Biden,
I don't
right,
know-
that's when they
I
went
don't know if
right
Trump's
all hands on
administration
that.
is helping the Ukraine to stop the war.
Military operation. What did they call it at that
such an
time?
approach. I don't see any other
Military
any
training
other strong
operation or
player,
some shit.
strong geopolitical player who would be able to force Russia to stop killing the Ukraine people and stop destroying their country. I don't see. Maybe China, but China makes nothing. I don't know if.
Yeah, I mean,
if
China's helping
if
Russia,
Trump is
right?
forcing Russia
In the trading sense.
in the way that they will stop the war.
But
I
yeah,
don't know.
I mean, China
I only
doesn't
see
really
that
have a.
the only
I mean, you had
Americans
North
right at the
Korea. I
moment
mean, not
can
North.
make
Well,
it.
yeah, you did have
I
North
see the
Koreans coming.
dialogue.
Do you think Europe could
Because
put
Putin
more
did get in
pressure
North Korean
on
soldiers to help.
Russia, for example, by putting pressure on Turkey, by targeting the refineries of oil more, and so on?
I think Europe also makes some pressure. We release sanctions. We do what we can. But I think the Russians, they probably don't care. When I visited Ukraine, I saw the goodwill.
Yeah, the Russians
of
don't.
all
I mean,
people
look,
in Ukraine.
obviously
They
the
were
Russians don't care.
really
They keep pushing.
united, and willing to stop the war.
Well, I mean, Ukraine and Russia did do that prisoner of war
also
trade.
made some steps that probably a year ago no one from them
we haven't
would
heard
allow
anything
to say
from-
or even suggest. Now they are ready to make some steps back. Now it's ball on the Russian side, but I don't see any goodwill on their side. So they must
Indeed,
be
and we probably
forced.
are agreed on that point.
I'm sorry, what? What? Stabbing Wednesday at a complex, Coastville, just 11:40 a.m. Sorry, I'm a little tired right now because I ate dinner and now I'm all tired because it's fucking getting late. Yeah, what the fuck? Having to sacrifice the baby and come to her with a knife. What? He made comment. Dude, what the? The dude went like fucking. What was he? Schizo? Like what the fuck? Phillips allegedly tried to stab the baby several times, but managed to only strike him once. Wow. Oh fucking Jesus. After the father launched the alleged freak assault, the terrified mother grabbed the injured child and her 9-year-old son and fled the residence. Yeah, Jesus Christ. The older son ran to get help. Phillips allegedly followed the mother outside, grabbed the baby from her arms, and threw the infant in the snow. Heroically used her body to shield her child from further harm until first responders arrived at the scene. A local hospital for very serious medical attention. He says, "What's up? This morning I saw him. He walked outside with the son, and I saw him. He smiled to me, said goodbye like normal, and walked out to me. It was surprising because he seemed like a really nice guy. He was really a good neighbor." Phillips had been charged with attempted homicide, aggravated assault, endangering the welfare of a child, simple assault, possessing an instrument of crime, and recklessly endangering another person, DA's office said. So there you go. Those are his charges. Man, what the fuck? Oh, that's fucking wild, man. Trying to kill his own kid for some reason. What the fuck? Oh yeah, Ethan Klein made this fucking billboard of fucking I mean, he's a pedo. He was he wasn't sexting, but he was texting kids or minors. So new billboard has appeared in Los Angeles, resurfacing the grooming and sexual misconduct allegations that have trailed beauty influencer James Charles since 2021. Well, yeah, I mean, you should be on the sex offenders list, to be honest. He might be, actually. I don't know. Ethan Klein, comedian, podcast. They call him a comedian, really? Wow. And podcaster who has been vocal about his opposition to Charles attempting to rebuild his career following the controversy and apology. I don't think he was really sorry, to be honest. Right? Look, a lot of these guys who do this kind of shit, they're not fucking sorry. They're not sorry. They're just sorry they got caught. I mean, why else would they go after fucking minors, right? Vulnerable people, right? Why else would they go after them? This is the only good idea I've been trying to do, Klein said in a video posted on Instagram. Sorry. Will somebody with resources and reach, I feel like it's at least I can do to try to remind the people of Los Angeles and the world that this is what James Charles gets up to. Wait, where did he put this billboard? It looks like he put it somewhere in Hollywood, maybe? Faced intense scrutiny after 16-year-old social media user Isaiah and Robert accused the then 21-year-old makeup artist of grooming and engaging in inappropriate sexual communications. Charles initially denied the claim. He believed they were 18, later released a 14-minute apology. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Scandal was swift. Charles lost his long-standing partnership with Morph Cosmetics and was removed as host of the YouTube original series Instant Influencer. Demonetized channel under its creditor responsibility policy, citing concerns about the potential harm of his off-platform behavior. And then he got reinstated in February. Has not commented on the billboard, and his talent management company, the Mangan Group, has not responded to California's post request for comment. I mean, how can they fucking respond? He's the one that fucking did it. Shocking homophobic display by high school students rocks California school district. Oh, no way. San Francisco Chronicle. That's funny. Visalia Unified School District. It happened in San Fran. Homophobic slur. They used I'm just gonna say it. Faggot. That's funny. That's rich saying it's a racist monkey video. Nice.
It's important to recognize
that's rich.
When the majority of the American people,
Literally, no one watched the video.
Deeply troubling. It is true that it gets attention. It's true that it's a distraction.
I thought it was funny.
As I'm traveling around the country, as you're traveling around the country,
he put the whole Democrat base in the animal kingdom.
Courtesy, kindness. There's this sort of clown show that's happening.
Well, I mean, you guys are the clown show. That's the point. That's why he did that.
What is true is that there doesn't seem to be any shame about this.
What? Shame?
Used to feel
what's there to shame?
Like you
guys vilified him.
Decorum and
all we're doing is making jokes about you guys.
And respect for the office.
But you guys get all fucking
that's
upset just because we make jokes about you dumbasses.
Point out that I don't think the majority of the American people approve of this is because ultimately the answer is going to come from the American people, and we just saw this in Minnesota, in Minneapolis. I was on a panel a while back, and I said, a lot of the values that we
he didn't even really talk about the video that much.
Subscribe to during easy times, during peaceful times. It's easy to say we believe in those things.
Right, when they're not challenged.
When they're not challenged. It's easy to believe in free speech when it doesn't seem like the government's trying to crack down on free speech. It's easy to say that we believe in the golden rule when we aren't at risk of being arrested when we exercise the golden rule.
Yeah.
Right now we're being tested. And the good news is what we saw in Minneapolis and St. Paul, and what we're seeing in places across the country, including here in Los Angeles, has been the American people saying, no, you know what, at least a good number of the American people saying we're going to live up to those values that we say we believe in. And as long as we have folks doing that, I feel like we're going to get through this. You meet people They still believe in decency, courtesy.
So yeah, he said absolutely nothing.